while and actually have endured. And I think they endure because they actually adapt to some of the changing API that Twitter's used, and it's somewhat robust. The one I like and I've used for quite some time is Twello. Twello will enable you to set up an account. And the nice thing about Twello is it actually enables you to search by TWELLOW. It's listed on the back here as a report. In Twello, you can actually go and search by category. So you can look for authors and writers, you can look for books, you can search by your interest category, and it'll actually give you a ranking of them by how many followers they have. The idea being there should be some, you would think, some correlation between someone being an authority and having a lot of followers in a category. It, of course, is not necessarily true. It's a question of how you define categories and whether and how they got their followers. But I think you will find that it can lead you to see who the influential people are. Usually, within about 5 or 10, you're going to find somebody there who's going to be worth following. And then I think the most useful strategy is to see who they're following. If they're an influential person, more than likely they're following someone who is influential, and more than likely the people they've started following first, if you go through, if they have 30 followers, the first 10, 15 they've followed are probably the people they found, they're the first person they thought of that they should bother following. And there's no reason why you can't follow. That's the beauty of Twitter, is it's an open universe. You can follow anyone someone else is following. There's nothing, I mean, there are a few people who protect their tweets and you cannot see who they're following. And they are just rude. But there are enough people, other people who don't protect who they're following. You can find who they're following, and in many cases you will find that they are worth following in your area of interest. Now, I have many areas of interest, so I'm constantly hitting the limit of how many people I can follow. If you go to my account, you'll see RPM Cal, I'm following 2,001 people, and I can't follow any more than 2,001 people until I get more than 2,001 followers. I'm not there yet. Once you get 2,001 followers, then you can follow as many people as you want, but that's an arbitrary limit that Twitter has set up just to say, you have to have some credibility at, mostly to stop bots from just following everybody. So you can not follow more than 2,001 people, but because I'm interested in a number of different areas, I follow technology, I follow science, I follow literature, I follow marketing, I follow politics, I follow news. I have a range of different areas. Not that I'm an expert, a lot of different areas. I've worked in a number of different areas. We didn't talk about biography, but I've worked in, true confession, I've worked in book clubs where I had 40 different product lines that I was responsible for. So I had to cover a lot of different areas, from business to interior design to architecture. Science and technology was my main areas. So those are the areas that are near and dear to my heart. So I continue to follow those. Which leads me to, I think, a really underutilized tool, and that is Twit Cleaner. I don't know how many people are using Twit Cleaner, but if in fact you follow a lot of people and you're trying to decide who should I stop following, Twit Cleaner is a very fun tool, and it's also one that will organize the people you're following into different categories. One of the most useful things is, why would you follow someone if they don't tweet? Unless they're a friend, and you feel like you want to give them a following. But I find there's very little value to following someone who doesn't tweet. So, Tweet Cleaner will identify those people you're following who have stopped tweeting, or at least where it's been essentially a month since they've last tweeted. And those are people that you can decide whether you want to continue to follow them or not based on. But there are, I think in general, I've mostly been following people who are tweeting on a regular basis. These are the question, of course, how often should you tweet? And the answer to that is, I think, as often as you're going to be comfortable with. It's a question of what do you want to get out of Twitter. I do find, though, if you want to get followers, I think many people who are actively using Twitter are following the same philosophy I do, which is, it really doesn't make any sense to follow someone if they're not tweeting. So I try to find something to tweet about at least 2 or 3 times a day. Now, there are tools that will help you identify. One of them I have just here. It's called Twiriad, a relatively new tool. Twiriad will actually take your followers and take your tweets, and basically it'll analyze people who are who you're following, the people who are following you, and it will basically tell you when, based on how they respond, whether it's retweeting or actually clicking on things, when the best time would be for you to tweet. So that's, and you can actually, there are tools. One is a tool called Buffer, and another is Hootsuite. If you use Hootsuite, Hootsuite enables you to basically set up a timing. If you think of something you want to tweet and it's an off period, it's early in the morning. Early in the morning actually isn't bad most of the time, but if you see, you'll find that based on who your universe of your Twitterverse, as the word is, they may respond at different times. So you can schedule your tweets. You can actually set up something and use Hootsuite or using Buffer. You can
what is it? Buffer?
Buffer is one. Hootsuite is the whole. It's basically something that is you can figure in many different ways, including using a lot of lists where you can put a link back and forth to different lists. Oh, you got a list. List is a great way of. I mean, one of the problems, of course, is as you follow more people, you get the fire hose problem, and that is how do you. The fire hose problem is you're trying to keep track of a fire hose. How do you manage all these different people? They're coming through at particularly if, like me, you're following 2,000 and some different people who ideally are tweeting frequently. So the way of managing that is to create lists where you're organizing these by some area of interest, whether they are influential people, whether they're people who are writers, or you think of influential people in a given area. I think is one where you want to configure it down to who are the people who you really think are worth following. In many cases, other people have done the work for you. Once you start following someone, you can see what list they are on or what list they've created. You can also, of course, see what list you're on, and that's always a grand thing. So to see people, as the people are following you, they will more than likely put you on a list. And it's also nice to thank them for putting you on a list. It's another way of building up some social credibility. But so the idea of lists is then you can then toggle from list to list. Hootsuite is a tool that's set up. You can actually do that using Twitter too. We can go to the lists and.
How do you spell Hootsuite?
Hootsuite, H-O-O-T-S-U-I-T-E. Hootsuite, many people. I still lament the demise of TweetDeck. I still don't think TweetDeck is really some of the best tool I've invented to follow people. Unfortunately, since Twitter bought it, they've kind of ruined it, and it's not as good. It's much more unstable than it used to be. So I still use an old version of TweetDeck. But Hootsuite is, I think, the preferred stable one. TweetDeck, because it was kind of a standalone app, had a lot of stability problems. Hootsuite is basically a web page, and so it exists within a browser. It's a browser. It's a site, so you can use that. Yeah, another tool as far as who to follow is friend or follow, which is a way of, as you have more followers, it actually is a way of that'll tell you which people you're following are also following you, and which people who are following you you're not following. And we'll group it by people who have the most followers. It's not as you can. And one of the nice things about friend or follow, if you want to manipulate that data, I don't know how much of a geek you are. I'm a geek. You can actually download it and put it into a spreadsheet, and then organize it, and then you can actually, put categories next to different people, and sort of determine who you care about that way. What you yearn for is a tool that does that for you. There is a tool that I'm helping to beta test that I think should have since be released soon. It's called Siftee, S-A-F-T-E-E. It's really a magical kind of tool for managing people, because there you can actually, and fortunately, I have there's this elaborate password protected part for the beta test, so it's on my machine. I can't pull it up here. But basically, you can actually, unlike friend or follow, you can actually just click on the tops of tabs and then you regroup based on, and people post based on how frequently they tweet, or how many tweets they have, how many friends they have, how many followers they have. It's really pretty brilliant. And hopefully it'll be out soon. It's been in development, I think, for a while. You see people, there's some inventors, Orion Marks, but you can follow either Siftee or Orion Marks, and it's it's something that I use a lot. Although I think that I've used Twit Cleaner more often than that, just because I find that that's a friendlier way, and it's actually kind of fun because it actually organizes your people you're following into cute categories like possible dodgy behavior, or doesn't interact with anybody, or just talks all the time and doesn't interact, or rarely interacts with anybody. So they really are making judgments about you. And in fact, if you want to enter your own Twitter handle, it'll actually give me, it'll tell you which category you fit into. Usually it's kind of reassuring. If you're responding to people, if you're replying, if you're appreciating people, you probably will say, you're doing just fine. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's see. So a couple of things. Now, if in fact you are somewhat narcissistic, like most people are, who has never Googled themselves? Okay. So I was going to say who has. So the idea is, Topsy is kind of a fun tool because it basically will tell you who is linking to other, if you are linking to other sites, even if using a URL shortener, it'll tell you what other people are linking to that site. So those are people who you probably have you share some common interest with, and so it's likely that you would want to follow them because they're linked, so you can see both how popular certain things you're going to do are, but also what other people are, and Topsy will also rank them in terms of how much influence they have using an algorithm of their own. And so that's interesting to see which influential people are linking the same things you're linking to, and then you can discover other people that, as you say, have common interests. These are all by way of I think, building your network and because you'd like to think that people who have a common interest are going to help you find opportunities. The one element where I wanted to talk about in terms of channels that we didn't talk about at all. We talked about Pinterest. What we talked about is Quora. Are anyone on Quora? People here on Quora? You know about Quora? Okay, no hands. First time I had no hands. That's something. So this is good. This is giving you value. One hand, I understand. Oh, back here. All right, very good. Okay, good for you.
Can you spell it?
Quora. I know because I've found many people that I've done pitches to. They're on Quora because they go to find other people who are employing people. And so this is kind of this background network. So this is where employers ask other employers, what should I pay a freelancer? So there are conversations like this happening. Quora is designed to just be about questions. It's just people asking questions of other people, and it's meant to be kind of a professional network. There are questions like this happening on LinkedIn where people join in, and if you're on LinkedIn, it's good to improve your credibility in terms of being someone who's knowledgeable on LinkedIn by joining some of these discussions. In many cases, they're happening within groups. So again, in LinkedIn, you want to find groups where you have an interest in certain areas. Again, whether it's you're finding people who share an interest, crafts, gardening, interior design, technology, there are groups for that on LinkedIn, and those groups are having discussions. And some of these discussions are being moderated by someone. If it doesn't exist, you can start your own group if you're interested in moderating it. And again, this is all part of building what you want is for you to be the go-to person with credibility and authority in a given area. If you're that person, you can be beginning a discussion and raising questions and starting a discussion and have other people see you and other people who are, and the great thing is that people who are your connections on LinkedIn are going to more than likely see that discussion as they go in and see what you're up to. Those kind of exchanges are going to appear on your profile. But Quora is dedicated, yes, sure.
Do you want to maybe in like 10 minutes wrap up so we can
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I can do it shorter than that, yeah. I'll just talk about Pinterest and then we'll basically close and do Q&A. So let me then talk about, Pinterest. People here are Pinterest? Everyone's on Pinterest?
No.